Viewers and interwebs, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. This is going to be a new series, starting now, ending whenever the hell I don't want to do this anymore, and it's going to be released every Monday. Today's episode is going to be me attempting to do a moon mission in the worst possible way ever. I have been playing this game for quite a while. I've got 121 hours or something on Steam, but I'm terrible at it, really. I've been using MechJeb for quite a while. This was my first proper vanilla attempt with stock parts. So I was just testing this lander thing to use on the moon. Yeah, this is one of the few things. Basically, nothing from this beginning bit stayed the same. So this thing was just adding power and stuff for this after being satisfied with how it lands and stuff. So then we needed to actually get it into space, because if I tried to get it into the space on its own power, it would run out about before it even left the atmosphere, I reckon. So I need to add a launch stage to it and a transfer stage. So to begin with, I thought about using these 4 fuel tanks, and then it turned into 2, and then eventually, because this happened, the final design didn't have it. So I just added RCS fuel to this because I was thinking about doing a docking to get them back. This didn't happen at all. In fact, the final mission is still on the surface of the moon. So here's the launch stage I'm building. It's loosely inspired by other YouTubers that I've been watching, but at the same time is still, I'm trying to make it a bit, I'm not carbon copying it, just kind of using experience from it just kind of works. Yeah, at the moment it's got 3 engines, the final one has 4, and also, as you will see in a minute, yeah, actually that's already there, it's got fuel from the outer engines going to the middle. This is because the outer engine, all the engines are firing at launch. In fact, this is a demonstration of how it works. So, here we go, we launch with a bit of wobble, not sure what caused that, but then eventually, once those 3 other engines on the sides run out, they get dropped. And the middle one continues to burn. So here's where we started having the problems, because it starts wobbling, and if you have a wobbly rocket and you try and get it into orbit, it's not going to work very well. In fact, basically no part of this mission worked very well. I mean, I managed to get it into the moon's sphere of influence, so I can actually, try and attempt a landing. But yeah, the problem, to be fair, not much wrong happened here. And all the problems seemed to start later when I started actually doing the landing for this attempt. So here we are, I'm just getting out of the escape trajectory and just getting myself in orbit around the moon so you can time your landing. Although I don't bother with this and just land immediately, because I'm one of these people who don't really know how to play. So we decided to burn down a bit, and then yeah, as you can see, one of the engines has got a bit less fuel. My theory is one of the connections broke, which basically meant landing was basically impossible, because whenever I'd use the engines, it would start flipping over and stuff. The SAS helped with this, but I could only fire the engines in short bursts. See, when you're trying to land, you're trying to kill off all your speed. So when you have to keep on stopping to refill your 3rd engine that's broken, you're not going to get anywhere. That's the problem. In fact, I was trying to be all kind of pro and try and not need I was trying to land it in a broken state, but when stuff like this starts happening, it's very difficult to actually get a landing, and thus it ended kind of like that. So the next attempt that we had, this happened. This is because I tried to fix the problem with the 2 fuel tanks by putting decouplers on them, and that make them really weak, but it did give me an opportunity to try and land my lander, which actually worked, surprisingly. So now what I'm doing is I'm replacing the commander pod with just like a remote control unit, because I decided I might not want to send everything back. So, and as you can see now, I think everything now has 4 engines, and they are in what is known as asparagus staging. Although they're not quite in that position yet. That's going to happen in a minute. Now, asparagus staging basically means that all the fuel go to, like, in a kind of loop, really, which means that you get a lot more. It's basically a lot more efficient because it uses all of the fuel out of one tank. Then it can drop that tank and use all the fuel out of the next pair, and so on. So I decided to set this up simply. In fact, this worked really well. I mean, I had to deposit the final bit of my launch stage on the moon, which is, you know, I did still need the nuclear engines to slow down and get into a proper moon orbit, but it worked surprisingly well, so I was pretty happy with that. So here is the final failed launch attempt. This went wrong because I was a bit of an idiot and I set up the staging completely wrong, so that when it came to the point where one of the pairs of fuel tanks was empty, I decided to drop the ones that were still burning. Yeah. This was just a staging error, so I just restarted the flight and just went again. So here is the actual flight. This is the successful attempt. Yeah, I know, I've actually succeeded. I mean, God, it's taken me long enough. So here we are. And I've also noticed this is just like the most unsymmetrical thing I've ever seen, because we've got 3 engines on the lander, 2 engines on the transfer, and 4, actually 5 if you think about it, on the bottom. Now it's not exactly the most symmetrically pleasing thing. See, humans like symmetry, and so, you know, it was just a bit weird. It still worked perfectly fine. It was just it was a bit odd to get the strats right, though. I could have made it a lot easier for myself. So here we are, getting yourselves into a orbit around Kerbin, which basically, once you're in orbit, you can get to pretty much anywhere, as long as you have enough fuel. And I did have enough fuel to get to the moon, so that's a good thing. And there we go, we're burning into an orbit. Me taking screenshots there, simply so I can use them as thumbnails. Probably won't use the majority of them, but we'll see. So now we're just warping around the planet in time acceleration to get to the point where it can actually burn for the moon. After I got my trajectory set up. So now we slingshot to the moon. I might get a bit of trouble when changing into different sphere of influences, it just freezes for a second. So then I got myself a maneuver node to make an orbit around the moon. It's not a particularly good one. I mean, you could do a lot better, and I plan to when I expand upon this moon landing. I'm probably going to send a buggy over and some habitation and stuff. Who knows? We'll see what we can send there. But then, yep, that's the launch stage deposited. I think it's going to on a trip around the sun, I reckon. So yeah, you might see that later. So here we are, getting ourselves. I decided to burn at the upper apps because that means you use less fuel, which is good. I mean, this thing has plenty of fuel left to get back to Kerbin if it wanted to. In fact, it could probably go a lot further than that. It might be able to get to one of the planets, but who knows. So we get ourselves into an orbit around the moon. It's roughly in the shape of a circle, but I don't particularly care at this point because I've been spending hours trying to get it right because I haven't been playing for ages. So, then we narrowly miss the crashing into our transfer stage as we take the lander down. So we take it down and then trying to land in the daytime because that means I can actually see where the landing legs are going to be. So this is warping down to the surface at occasional points. We just try and kill a bit of our speed, and you know, just because when you're going in orbit, you're going flipping fast, so hitting the ground at the same flipping fast that you're travelling is not a good idea. So at this point, this is the final descent. As you can see, the speed at the bottom, we're going about 47 meters a second. I mean, you roughly want to aim for about under 10 meters a second is usually quite good. And I think this one ends up at something around 4 or 3 or something. Yeah, about 3 meters a second. And everything's still in one piece, and I was pretty happy with this. One of the things I love about the moon, though, is you get this, which is a Kerbal Sun eclipse. Well, Kerbal, as I think it's known by the KSP community, but still, it's lovely. So we take out, I can't remember what his name was, it's something like Razeor or something like that. Sorry, mate. And he's about to take his his first steps on the moon. So, there we are. Attempt successful. It's alright.